This is Season 3 of The Score, the Team Roping Journal's regular podcast, where the team roping world talks. We've told the stories of some of the greatest cowboys, horses, and moments in the sport, and we're so far from done. In 2020, we'll bring you more of what you've come to expect, like interviews with the best cowboys and cowgirls we know, and we'll dive even deeper into subjects you care about. Look for more audio editions of the Team Roping Journal stories you might have missed in print, and learn about the great horses shaping the sport and great challenges facing our industry. All this and more in 2020. I'm Chelsea Schaefer. Matt Sherwood was a businessman first and a professional team roper second, and that shows in his absolute no-nonsense management of the PRCA's team ropers. As the event rep for ProRodeo's team ropers, he's tasked with representing the NFR qualifiers, the contenders, the circuit guys, everybody. That's a job that's not for the faint of heart. Not to mention, he's a 2-time world champ, 8-time NFR qualifier, and George Strait champ with $1.3 million in career earnings. Now, Sherwood is a straight shooter, and that makes conversations like this one golden. Enjoy. Full disclosure, Matt Sherwood and I sat down to record this interview at Denver's National Western Stock Show and Rodeo this January. An interview recorded before the coronavirus outbreak seems partly silly to air, really, because the reality we were discussing seems so very far away right now, with rodeos canceled left and right and so much in question. But there's still a lot in here, and we wanted to share it. So just take a listen and let us know what you think. Today's episode is brought to you by Manna Pro. At Manna Pro, they believe in nurturing life. Since 1985, Manna Pro has been committed to providing high-quality, wholesome feeds, supplements, and treats to your horses at every stage of their lives. Their passion is happy, healthy pets, and they're your trusted partners just for that. So one of the things that's really fun about podcasts, and especially this one, is like stories that me and Kendra and Julie Macon have told for years in print. It's like a whole new audience, or I might remember everything I've ever asked you, but people listening might not remember your whole life story. So one of my favorite things about you is your really unique way that you came to rodeo in the last couple decades. Can you kind of backtrack how the trajectory of your career, because when did you buy your card?
I bought my first card probably 92. Mm-hmm. I was 22 years old, and I lived in Florida. Actually, I bought my permit when I lived in Florida. I got married and lived in Florida. So I bought my card permit there first year, and then bought my card the next year. Lived there for 2 years, went to school right after I got married.
And what did you go to school for?
Didn't know what else to do at the time. Okay. I wanted to get an education at the time. I wanted to get an education. Was trying to get into like physical therapy, occupational therapy was the direction I was going. So then went to junior college for 2 years in Florida. I just got married, and my wife and I were both from Arizona, so we wanted to get away and go somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not from Florida.
No, but my mom was born and raised in Florida, graduated from University of Florida, so my grandparents still lived there, and so I'd been there every third year, for a week or two, and so I was like, let's so found a little single-wide mobile home rent from a friend of mine, and moved to Florida and went to school for 2 years.
Did you make the Southeast Circuit finals then?
I did. I bought my permit, and I guess you can go on a permit.
Yeah, you can.
I went to 2 circuit finals there. Rode with a kid named TJ Smith the whole time. Nice.
Now, what happened in between the early 90s buying your first permit and then your first finals? A lot, right?
Well, what happened in life, or what happened in
both.
changing? Well, so I went to school for 2 years, did fairly well. So came back here, went to Grand Canyon University for a year, because they had an occupational therapy program that I was going to get into. Okay, so then but you had to be a resident student to get into it because I had met all the requirements. So I went to school there for a year, but I didn't have a bachelor's degree. So then when it came time to apply for the program, they gave first preference to degree holding students. Well, so there was 30 spots available, and there was something like 349 applicants for that one program. So I realized I waited to hear, see if I got in, but I didn't. By then I had 2 kids, and so quit school and went to work.
And you went to work in,
That's when I went. That's when I was working part-time doing installing carpet and tile. Okay, so then I just went to doing that full-time.
Did you have a business of your own, or did you work for somebody?
I did later. I kind of had a business of my own, but I worked for someone else for 10 years, and then really slowly just as we got busier and busier, the economy was doing great, and so I just started doing side jobs on my own and still working full-time, and then pretty soon I was getting more side jobs and not working, and so pretty soon I was just working for myself. And
what kind of horses did you have during that? Did you have any horses?
Yes, I had horses. I probably had my card almost every year. So the first year that I really felt like, okay, I'm getting too old to rodeo. If I don't do it now, I'm going to do it, was 2005. And so from mid early 90s to then, I had my card probably every year. I don't remember, but I don't remember never having it. I went to circuit rodeos. I made the Dodge Circuit Finals several times throughout that period of time, and a couple of years, you know, it's so hot in Arizona. A couple of years I would leave for the summer and go to wilderness circuit, and go to circuit rodeos in the summertime, but never.
Were you going to the Strait, the big jackpots at all?
Probably the straight roping every year, and none of the other ropings. The first time I ever went to Wild Roping was 2006. U.S. finals most every year, not every year, but none of the other, you know, survey ropings in Arizona. I went to that some, but I wouldn't go to any of the big ropings in Texas. Just travel like one. I told Trey I felt my brother rodeoed, and he ended up maybe 17th in the world sometime in that period of time. I mean, he wanted me to go head for him down the stretch, and I didn't have enough confidence in my roping, but I hated being gone. You know, my kids were little, my wife was home, so I was like, there's no way I'm gonna quit doing what I'm doing, go out and...
Did your kids get to a point that let you go rodeo, or you just felt like you were too old, or you were gonna get too old? Like what made you...
I got to a point financially that I felt like I got more confidence in my roping. Okay, so a little bit, that was definitely part of it. But I got to a point financially that I could go rodeo for a couple of months, and I didn't feel like I was going to lose my home.
Can I ask you how much, like, what is a point financially that a guy can go rodeo with?
That's a fair question. I don't know if it's dollar-wise, like you need to have X amount of dollars in the bank, but I had my own home. I had...
paid off or no? Not paid off.
No, but my payments were manageable. I had in that 12 or 13 years, so I was running my own business by then. I had bought the first thing I ever did that was a good financial investment for myself. I bought 5 acres. I bought 5 acres, so it was in Queen Creek, kind of. But it was so far out of Queen Creek, it didn't have power or water. Okay, and it was $10,000 an acre. But at the time, that's how things were headed. Okay, so I bought this. Power was headed that way. So by the time I bought a tiny little mobile home, okay, so I had 500-gallon water trailer that the water depot was 3 miles down the road. So I bought a pressure tank. So I would twice a week I would take my little water trailer, drive into town, fill it up, 25 cents 100 gallons or something, you know, drive it back out, take the hose and hook it up. But I wanted my own place. Okay, so over through 4 or 5 years, you know, they finally run water out there. The property becomes more valuable. I sold that little place. I built a little house. I sold that house, went a little bit further out. And so in that 12 years, I made some good real estate investments, small, if you will, but I got myself in a situation that I had 2.5 acres. It wasn't, you know, but I didn't owe a ton on it. You know, I probably owed $150,000 on a couple $300,000 place, and so my payment wasn't high. So I knew that I'm making enough money through my business, and that if I don't place for 2 months, I'm going to be okay.
So you had enough guys underneath
so
you
I
that
had
were running.
a few guys working for me, and probably enough money in the bank that if things went bad, $10,000 out, and I'm not gonna, my wife's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
The kids are gonna be okay, and it was, and that with a combination of finally kind of getting to the point where I felt like there's a possibility I roped good enough to make it, so I wanted to try. And financially, I was doing so between the confidence in my roping and the money side, I would have never went. If I would have never got to a point where I felt like, because it is, and that part is the hard part, but it's the stress of, if you're 22 years old and you're it doesn't matter. Worst case scenario, hopefully you move back home. But when you have a wife and 7 kids, and all of a sudden, so it wouldn't have been worth it to try to rodeo with a weight. If I don't have the money to do it, then so funny story. So I rodeo in 2005 when we don't do great. I rode with 4 or 5 different guys and win a little bit, probably 20th in the world standings half the year. Okay, so switched partners a couple times, didn't love the partners I had and different things anyway, so I kept doing okay at the tour rodeos. Okay, so at Colorado Springs, Walt, that's when Walt says, hey, what are you doing next year? And I was unhappy with where I was at, so he's like, I was like, hey, if you want to rope next year, I would love to rope. So when he's like, give me a couple days, yeah, let's rope. Okay, so then I told my partner, hey, I'm done, I'm going home. But I had a bunch of tour points. So then I was like, crap, I still got to go to the tour rodeo because there's a long shot. So I kept going. I went to Hermiston in place. I went to Pendleton in place, and so I made the tour finals. But it was the first year in Omaha. As far as I know, it was the only year that Omaha was one. It was 2 perfs, 1 full round, and then top 8, top 4. And so I drove all the way to Omaha, roped with Mark Scobie. We got a leg on the first one, and we ended up 9th. But they take the top 8 back. So then that was all of. That was my NFR dreams. And so, but I'd already talked to Walt about roping next year, so went home, kind of got back into running the business. Well, so at the same time is when the economy started to just go south, and so it was a perfect time for me to go rodeo because unless you were working for a track home builder, custom homes were, you could buy foreclosure homes half the price on what you could build a custom home for. So everything pretty much dried up. So it worked perfect. So we started, it was the first year, 2006 was the first year that team roping was mandatory. Okay, so we leave, we go to Odessa. I think we went to Odessa, roped 1, went to Fort Worth, roped them both, went to Denver, roped them both, went back to Odessa, roped the second round, and came home. And missed it at Odessa, didn't do any good at the jackpot, caught them both in Fort Worth, didn't place. He missed one, I missed one at Denver, so now we win 5,000 miles. We're going back to Odessa. We were 4-8 at Odessa. We win like 5th or 6th in the second go-round and won $800. So like my first year, I love rodeo. I drove all over. I was gone for 10 days, won $800, and honestly, that close to. This is the dumbest thing in the world. This is the dumbest sport. Why would you drive all over the world on a whim hoping to place against the best guys in the world? There's no way. Yeah. But Walt was staying in Arizona. Hey, I'm going to come to Arizona. We're going to practice. We'll all do better. We'll do better. And so then we started roping again. We practiced every day. Truly, worked hard, tried to do better. And then the 1st of February comes around. We go to Jackson, Mississippi. We win the first round, win the average at Jackson. We win placing around and win the average at San Antonio. We place at Tucson, maybe Yuma, Arizona. So by the end of February, we got $20-some thousand won, and we're in. It's just the opposite. So it was perfect. Experience of So then all of a sudden we're like, maybe we can do it, and so then kept going, and both of us went into the NFR in the lead of the world standings, which is the hardest thing in the world. Yeah. By far harder to do that than win a world championship. I truly believe it.
Yeah, I can think of lots of guys that I thought were going to win world titles going into the NFR and first in the world. I thought this was surely their year, and the finals just
It's tough,
like quicksand. Yeah.
Exactly. And then another guy goes in there in 13th, barely ropes good enough to make the NFR, but the right setup, the right horses, draws good, just nothing to lose kind of attitude, and super successful. And
totally. So. Now, something you said a little bit ago was that you had gained the confidence in your roping. What did you like about your roping better? Or where did you find the confidence in your roping?
Okay, so the whole time, the whole time right then, mostly I healed. Almost the whole time from the early 90s to when I started rodeo and I healed. Sometime in the mid to late 90s, Rube Woolsey had quit rodeo and he came home, needed a partner for Sherwood rodeo, so I healed for Rube and I had the best little gig ever. You know, he didn't want to leave. We would go to 10 jackpots a year in Arizona. I bet we won 3 or 4 of the. We roped really well together. You didn't have to be fast. All you had to do was catch, and we could catch, and so we did good in our circuit. We couldn't do good. We won Tucson one time, but we didn't rope good enough when the best guys in the world were there. But we roped plenty good enough to do good. Anyway, so as that's all happening, I evaluated it, and so many good healers. And there wasn't very many good headers. And so I felt like I'm going to go to heading. So I started heading maybe in 2004 or somewhere around there, and I would go, the carpet mill was on 75th Avenue. Okay, I lived in Queen Creek. 75th Avenue is way west of Buckeye. It was an hour and a half from my house. They opened at 5 o'clock. So I would leave my house at 3:30 in the morning, so I could be there at 5 o'clock, get loaded up, and I could get back to Phoenix before traffic would just shut the freeways down. So 3 or 4 days a week, if I had to pick up supplies, I'd leave at 3:30, get all my crap. 90% of my jobs were East Valley, if you will, so east side of Phoenix. So then I would be done by 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. My guys would be laying tile, carpet, whatever. So then I'd go home. Most of my kids were in school. There was a buddy of mine that broke in. We probably broke in 500 steers every winter. Okay, so I would go home, get 2 or 3 horses, and I'd go rope from 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I roped every single day, but 3 or 4 days a week. Great steers. They'd bring 16 or 17 steers. There was 4 of us over there, so we would just rope every single day. Really good steers, and so you're either an idiot or you're going to get better. And so finally, it felt easy. It felt like I was roping better. So all of a sudden, I'm heading a lot. I'm roping better. My horse. I told Rube, I'm going to go to heading. And he said, "What are you going to head on?" But he didn't know my heel horse, and neither did I. In fairness, I mean, I knew he felt good to break steers in, but
that was Nicholas.
That was Nick, and I ended up winning head horse of the year once, and reserve head horse a couple times, and they, I thinking about the other day, and I'm sure a lot of guys have, but I well over $1 million that I won on that horse.
And you just put him down this year, right?
I put him down last year.
Last year,
yeah.
Okay. How old was he?
24.
24. Man.
Broke my heart.
Yeah. I bet.
I'm not an animal lover. I don't hate dogs. I hate cats. I don't even love horses. But that was tough. Cried. I didn't think it would be like that. But part of life. And I understand.
Sure.
I can see myself headed there. But he was really healthy, and somehow through like I would feed him all the time. I would just feed him as much as he would eat. So we rode him all day. My daughter took him to the 24th of July. Carried the flag on him, so put him in a pen and fed him a bale of I have hay, and so fed him really rich, and somehow hay foundered really bad, and so then he was still really healthy, but he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
So it was like,
I hate that with
horses. So for a day or two, no way, so I just leave him by the trough, but finally you just gotta realize, sad as it is.
Yeah. So was how he died more sad than the fact that he died then?
I think so, because I felt like he was still really healthy.
Sure.
Like people would come over and we would ride him. Hey, head some on Nick. He had lost a step, no doubt about it. But so it wasn't. If he would have got old and deteriorated and he looked poor. I mean, he looked old, but you turn him out, he'd run around and he wouldn't limp.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden in one day, he goes from like he's gonna live for years to we're gonna put him down tomorrow.
Yeah,
so that
totally.
I felt bad about that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but you healed on him for how long?
I healed on him for I think I started heading on him. He was 11, and I started riding him when he was probably 4. So I rode him at the U.S. finals in '99. So
did that make him help him score better?
I truly believe that.
Yeah.
I truly, healing is so relaxing to me and a horse, and so I healed on him. For 3 or 4 years before I ever even headed on him. So then, like I would go to the jackpots, heel on him in the open, and then I would head, which was the 11 and the 9 even sometimes. So then I would head on him a little bit, and he was green, but he just got better and better and better. But yeah, I think it's so easy in the heel box, and so when I was very first rodeo I take him to, he scored like a champ. I mean, he scored so good from the very first steer I ever. And I would practice on him, and I would run 10 steers and never score a steer. It wasn't like he was just that personality.
We're going to take a break from this interview to talk about Cetal M, the joint health supplement. Champions, colleagues, and personal trainers. Whatever role they play, they're an important part of our lives. And as much as we count on them, they count on us all the more. Cetal M Joint Supplements for Horses is a new approach to joint health, powered by omega-5 fatty acids, which helps maintain healthy joints by reducing inflammation and promoting positive immune response. Cetal M uses an optimal blend of plant-derived cetyl myristoyate, glucosamine, and MSM for superior results. Visit scorejointhealth.com for your $10 off coupon. For tough rides and long hauls, they're here to make your horses' lives the best they can be. Manna Pro, nurturing life. Remember, it's scorejointhealth.com for a $10 off coupon. Switching gears a little bit, what has changed in the last decade or two, or last decade and a half, since your first world title, your second world title, and now you've made the finals quite a few times since then? What has changed about team roping? Are you roping as good? Or tell me about that transition. Is it just gotten tougher?
It's gotten tougher.
Yeah.
And it seemed like then it was tough. It seemed like when I started rodeoing it was tough. But to me, what's happened is every year there's more guys that rope at the top level. Like when I won a go around Reno in '94. I roped pretty good for a circuit, for a circuit guys. You say, well, you won a world title later, but the circuit guys, there was a lot of circuit, they got more teams. It was the competition level, like Jake and Clay roped good, speed, but they didn't rope that much better than the circuit guys in my mind at the time, so everyone had a chance. But now the top guys rope so good. I mean, there's so many of them, there's 20 guys that just rope amazing, to where I think in the early 90s, if you will, there was a few guys that rope good, no doubt about it, but they don't dominate. When there's only 6 or 7 guys that rope that much better than certain guys, they spread out, they break the barrier, they still make mistakes. Well, now you go to what I think is a good one-head circuit rodeo, man. You can name 22 guys and they're going to win six of the holes. And so now it's just so hard for circuit guys when there's a really good rodeo. So it's made the competition's tougher. And it's harder to me. Like, I'm a team roping director, so it's made it a lot harder to manage. Because you want your circuits to grow, you want your top guys to have a chance, you want all of it, but it's made it harder to manage because your top guys rope so good. There's so much money in it that they buy better horses. They can justify spending that much money on a horse, and so it's just made the gap a little bit wider.
I'm really glad that you brought up that you're the circuit director. So now, if that's opened the door, the event director. So now that's opened the door for me to talk about that.
Sure.
But I think it's fascinating what you said about the circuit guys and the open guys, or the elite level guys. Like, my husband was like 4-1 at Craig, and then Luke and Jake Long pulled in and were 3-9, and it was a circuit win that the circuit guy needed, and it's Craig, Colorado, nobody's there. And
sure.
But of course, it's the best of the best. It's the PRCA. What is your philosophy, I guess, on balancing that sort of situation?
Well, I don't know how long this thing is, but what I would like to see, here's truly what I feel, and it's not that hard. If the board would get on board and figure, but to me, the best guys in the world, it's ridiculous that the best guys in the world drive 10,000 miles a month, if you will, all over the place. I think the best guys in the world, so take the best 12 guys in the world and find a system to where they go to one rodeo every week, and they compete Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, so now you have the best guys. You can really build a system around the best guys. Okay, so then the next best guys, so 13 through 25, they go to the next best rodeo of the week, and they stay there. And so then your rest of your guys. So now you take the top 24 guys or 25 guys out of the mix. You throw them a really good, you're gonna have to work with the rodeo committees, but you set it up to where your best guys are competing at the best rodeos every week, and they're not traveling. They compete 3 or 4 nights in a row for $3,000 or $4,000 a night. They eliminate tons of travel expenses. You can increase the fees if you want to charge them fees. Charge them $1,000 fees. The most guys pay way more than $1,000 per week in fees in the summertime anyway. Okay, so now you take your bottom how many ever, and so now you let those guys go and rodeo at all the other rodeos where they don't have to beat the best 24 guys in the world. They don't have to be 4-1 and then they don't even win the rodeo, because what happens is we're losing membership, we're losing rodeos. The circuit guys, man, they're just getting beat to death. The amateur rodeos, there's not that there's not people team roping, because the amateur rodeos are doing good, but guys just get tired of not having a chance. And I think the PRCA has made some terrible mistakes. The All-American system that they did was a terrible idea, because now you tell the best guys, you have to go to all these little circuit rodeos and beat up on, and like I said, in fairness, I can lump myself in any group. I circuit rodeoed for 20 years before I ever pro rodeoed, so you have to go to 30 rodeos, which are not going to count. So the top guys, but you want to go to Waco because it pays so much. So now you have to, right? You never know. So now you have to drive this much more, beat up on the circuit guys more. So the circuit guys go to a rodeo in Iowa and they win the rodeo. Well, next year there's an All-American deal, so all these guys have to get to this same rodeo. So the circuit guy shows up and he's like, I was 8-8 here in the calf roping last year and won it. I was 8-8 this year, I didn't place. It doesn't take very many years of that, and you're like, screw this, I'm not going back to this rodeo.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And so I think that we've done some things. To me, we need to be the top guys rope great. They deserve to make a living rodeo, and they're phenomenal athletes, okay? But we shouldn't be forcing them to drive all over the world, spend, Trey told me today he's got 70,000 miles on his truck. He got it in November a year ago. So he's had it for 14 months. He's got 70,000 miles on it. To me, we're doing some things that we shouldn't be driving back and forth. Last year I drove from Casper to Nampa, Idaho, back to Cheyenne, back to Nampa, and Salinas. The PRCA can set some things better to where we're not wasting people's money, time. It's endangering, So that, to me, that's how. Because if we did a good job with that, in 2 or 3 years, now you have your top guys. Hey, these guys are making $200,000 a year before they get to the NFR, and you could do it really easy. Like we've talked about it a little bit already, but my favorite rodeo of the year used to be Omaha, Nebraska. The tour finals, there was only 12 guys there. It was the best 12 guys in the world. But every time you made a good run, you got paid.
Yeah.
I mean, you see in the NFR, if you make a good run, you get paid. Okay, so if you put me in Group A and I'm competing against the best 12 guys in the world at the biggest rodeos, I'm so happy about that. If you put me in Group B, I'm competing against the next best guys, but if the payoff's not as good, but the competition's not quite as good, I'm happy about that. If you put me in Group C, and now I got to travel a little bit more, but I get to go to all these rodeos that are still pretty. So I think that's better for everyone. I think that system suits everyone better. And take 7 guys out of Group A to the NFR. Take 5 guys out of Group B to the NFR, and take 3 guys out of Group C to the NFR. You can reward everyone. It doesn't mean these guys are seeded into the NFR. They still need to try. So, but they have 7 out of 12 get to the NFR. They got a better than 50% chance of it. So I think that there's some things that we can do to still reward every group, and now we can grow the association instead of why is membership going down?
What are the barriers to making that happen? Is the board just completely in opposition to it, or the different factions like the committees and what are the dynamics?
Your dynamics, there's so many parts of rodeo. There's the board, the PRCA. So then you have all the rodeo committees, you have all the stock contractors, and so the committees want to do what's best for them. They're the ones. Okay, so in my mind, it would take the board getting with. It would take a really good president realizing the need for change. Real change, not just but so then he would have to go to how many ever rodeo committees and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build a gold system, and these are the rodeos. Outline them before. These are going to be the 40, if you will, best rodeos. If you want to be a gold rodeo, this is what you have to do. You have to add X. You're going to get the best 12 guys in every event. No turnouts. The committees are. because they pay for all the stock, and then they're riding them at guys. If their horse isn't very good, they turn out. I don't blame them. So now the rodeo committee says, hey, I want to be the gold rodeo. You have to have 25,000 per event or whatever the number is. No problem. We will get it. So then you go to the silver rodeos, if you will, or Tour B, and you say, hey, we need 40 rodeos. You have to add. Great. And then these other rodeos, you say, hey, but you can promote that. You know, this guy's winning the bronze tour. This guy's on his way to the NFR. You know, you can promote that if you do it right. But to me, you'd have one good rodeo every weekend with your best guys. Now you could start selling some TV stuff, because the hard thing about TV, and I've said this before, I wouldn't watch professional football if I had no idea who was going to play quarterback for the team. You know, we have rodeos on TV, but we don't even know who's going to be in the rodeo. If Trevor Brazil, if you will, if he doesn't make the short round, he's not even there. You know, but now we have a rodeo every single week. Show the Saturday night perf once a week. These same guys are on the rodeo every single week. Well, I tell you what else I would do better. Here's the next step. I would put them on a team. I would put each guy on a team, and I would get a huge team sponsor. To where now you didn't win the calf roping. If your team didn't have the most points at the end of the night, because everyone understands the team concept. Yeah. Okay, there's fans out there. A friend of mine from I live in Pima. A friend of mine said the first year I made the finals, he went to finals. He said, best professional sporting event I've ever been to. He goes, I've been to the Super Bowl, I've been to NASCAR. He goes, I've been everywhere. I've never been to a rodeo. He goes, that was the most enjoyable. We have a great product, but the way we sell it, it's so hard for people to understand. So I would put the best 12 guys. I would go get 12 title sponsors. Cost you $1 million to be a title sponsor. But now you have 12 guys on your team. Do a draft.
Why didn't that work the last time? Because we did the teams.
There's a reason it didn't.
Yeah,
in my opinion, it didn't.
Tell me.
Because the top guys went to the bottom rodeos, and the bottom guys were pissed. Hey, you want to go to your rodeos? Go, but don't come to freaking Buckeye, Arizona, and take my money. Yeah. You want to go to the top rodeos? Go. But you can't let the top guys go to all the little circuit rodeos and win both. That was before my time. But and I've looked at it and tried to do it. And there's so much more money. You know, there's so many things that are different now. But that's, you know, and maybe we do it for a year and we have to tweak it. Obviously, things are going to have to be. But now, if you go to Wrangler or you go to whoever and say, hey, for $1 million, you own a team. These guys are going to 40 of the, you know. But part of the problem was, I think, because when we had the Winston Tour.
Well, the Winston Tour, and then what was it called just recently, like a couple of years ago? I don't know why I can't remember that, but we had
Champions Challenge?
Champions Challenge.
Okay,
yeah,
so those I thought those worked pretty good, but and I went to some of those rodeos, but I wasn't involved in the production side of it. But I don't know where the outside money came from. But if you do this, if you sell a team sponsorship, then you know hopefully maybe money's too high, maybe it's too low. I don't know, but there's a lot of money in the world right now. You know, $1 million is not that much. Say, hey, you're going to own a team. So now when I wrote, I don't have all these sponsors on. My back of my thing says Cinch. I'm on a Cinch team. Okay, so they put up $1 million, and so now if you will, then these guys now they get $112,000 a piece for being on the team. And every time I compete for Cinch, and Cinch wins the rodeo. Matt Sherwood doesn't win the team open. If I don't place in the team open, and my bareback rider doesn't place, you know, create a point system to where at the end of the deal, the top 7 teams advance to the NFR. Because to me, you have to get outside money involved if you want to do good. The committees can only raise so much money. The guys can, you know. So if you get some outside money besides individual sponsorships, if you get some outside money into the rodeo, and you can do the same thing with for the B League. You know, it costs you $500,000 to be a team sponsor, and set it up in a way that the fan base can understand, and we can market it because we have the same group of guys on TV once a week. I know who's going to be on TV. I'm behind the Budweiser team. You know, I love those guys. And I can follow it. But if you just keep spreading it out like it is, and granted, rodeo's better than it's ever been. So I don't want to sound like but there's so, you know, professional athletes make $4 million a year, and these guys, if you will, myself, if you end up 16th in the world, the 16th best calf rope in the world has $75,000 won. And he spent 85 to you know, so I just think there's so much more. There's so much, you know, there's so much money in the world right now that I think that we're not. We have the best guys in the world. You go to a rodeo and you feel patriotic. You know, we have the best guys in any professional sport. You know, I think you could build a fan base behind it. You know, anyway.
No,
my opinion.
Yeah, no, I wanted your opinion. That's what I asked for.
Surprised they don't call me and get me on board.
Oh man, how you wanted to be an event rep again. You were the team repping event director?
I was a team repping director. I was gonna keep doing it. There's a lot of things that not to love about it, but I like being involved. You know, I like feeling like I can do whatever I can to make change or to not change. If I, you know, a lot of the changes that are happening right now with some of them I disagree with them. So, but anyway, so then I got outvoted, so I wasn't going to do it, and was fine not ever doing it again. And then I had several people ask me, "Hey, will you please run for team rope director again?" So here I am doing it again. At least one more year.
Yeah, at least one more year. You brought up money a little bit ago, and we were talking about what it costs to rodeo. Do you like to spend a lot on a horse? I don't know if anybody likes to spend a lot on a horse. Are you in the camp that'll spend $100,000 on a horse?
I've never done it, and that's been one of the downfalls of my career. I can look back and honestly admit, and it started because I had one really good horse, and I rode him everywhere. And so in my mind, like, why am I going to spend $30,000, which, you know, still is a ton of money, but even then it was, why am I going to spend a ton of money on a horse that I hope I never ride, because I'm going to ride my good horse everywhere. And so then all of a sudden my good horse got older. I could still ride him some, but not. So then I didn't have a very good backup, and so it put me in a bad situation. And, you know, it's kind of a circle. If you're winning a ton, going to NFR every year, you have the money, you buy, you know, but then you don't make the finals for a couple years, you're broke as crap, but you need to spend $50,000 on a horse and new trailer, you know, all of a sudden you're $200,000 in. So that's been one of my hard, you know. So a good horse, let's say $50,000 for a really good horse, and so you need a new trailer. If you buy a good used trailer, which I think is the best way to go, because a good used trailer is $40,000 or $50,000, and a truck payment's $900 a month, and so all of a sudden, you know, it's like, you're $150,000. This is what you're doing to make a living. You know, you got to spend $150,000 just to start the year, and so you just get yourself. And I'm a fan of it because I see the importance of a good horse. I mean, I see the importance of. I tell my wife, you know, can you imagine riding a bicycle race and you got the only pedal bike out there and everyone else riding a 10-speed? Yeah. You know, but that's really what I've tried to do, and a lot of guys try to do throughout the years. You're trying to. You can't draw good enough, often enough to win on a crappy horse.
Is Murphy about done? What's your horse plan?
I'm in the same boat horse, you know. So she's phenomenal. She's older. She's got a big knee. So I have a mediocre backup that I almost rode today just because. But
did you ride her today?
I rode her. My steer wasn't very good, but we caught. So
I heard you knock one
6'4",
down.
Yeah. We almost made a good run. Got on him fast, and then he followed me all the way around in a circle. But the format here is. And I'm against this. I don't like this format. I don't like this format.
The tournament style deal.
It's terrible. Okay, and we're in Denver, and I don't want to say anything bad about Denver. They stepped their added money up. They're doing great. But so here's what happened. Guys, there's 20 performances. So there's 16 performances before the finals. So guys come up and rode last week Saturday. So it's a week before the semifinals. And they go 12 on 2, for example. The top 24 guys out of...
On 2?
How many make it? 16? So 80 guys. So the top 24 advance. So if you go 12 on 2, you drive back to Oklahoma or Texas or wherever you're from, you don't even know if you haven't won any money. So you don't even know if you're going to advance. So Friday night, you find out, hey, you made the semifinals. Yeah, you're in Oklahoma City. So now it's a random draw. You don't even know when you're going to be up till right then, and then they call you and say, hey, you got the first perf, you have to be here in the morning at 11 o'clock. It's 13, you know. Just too many things about it are... To me, I understand the committee's trying to sell tickets. I understand that. But they have to also look at the Cowboys and say, hey, what are we doing to these guys? You know, what are we doing to these? If we make them drive all night and often enough, someone's going to wreck and die. You know, it's just, so there's enough things about it like that I think we have to figure something out to where we can work with the committees and sell tickets, but we don't have to put our guys in a situation that we have to drive back and forth to Denver, Colorado from, you know, the top guys don't love it because they have to go back and forth. The circuit guys, now you're telling me you have to drive home.
Now, a long time ago, I did a story, and I think you were the event director way back then, and it was about where the committees get the idea of tournament-style rodeos, and one of the things was that I remember from that story was that it was based on a study done. You know, the rationale for a lot of this is it was based on a study done at Rodeo Houston. And most of that survey was their own committee volunteers that they ended up surveying. Has that been updated to your knowledge?
I don't know the answer to that, but I think you're right. Like San Antonio and Houston, they had $200,000 an event. Okay, so every night they have a winner. But when we go to San Antonio and Houston, it pays $3,000 a night, and we get a rope 3 nights in a row. Okay, so we have an opportunity to win. You know, if you place once, win once, and don't place once, you win $3,500. You know, that's still a lot of money. Still a lot of money. A lot of people work all month and make $3,500. Okay, but you go to rodeo, and I'm gonna pick on Colorado Springs. You go to Colorado Springs, it costs you almost as much to drive to Colorado Springs. So you get a rope once, not 3 times. It only pays $1,200 to win first, and then if you win third, it pays $800, but you don't even advance. So I love tournament style rodeos, but they have to have the committees have to have enough money to justify the guys. You know, this rodeo has 20 performances. If you're going to do a tournament style rodeo, then we need to cut the guys back, have enough money to justify coming up here. You know, so I think that there's nothing, but spectators love to know who won today. So that's their theory is it's so hard to sell tickets when you said this guy's winning 4th. We'll know next week how he does. You know, so a little bit of that I understand where the committee's at. They want to have a champion today. They want to have a champion every single day because it's hard to promote someone that might win 10 days from now. So
gotcha. Now your partner this year is Trey.
Trey Yates.
You guys are hooked for how long? Seeing how the winter goes, planning to make I mean, obviously the goal is a world title at the end of the year, but tell me the plan for the year. Is there a plan for the year other than
Absolutely, yeah. I gotta find a head horse. Or in fairness, I have to tell Trey, hey, look, you gotta find a better partner. You know, like I said, my horse is super good at most rodeos. She's getting old. I gotta find a better head horse. But yeah, our goal is rope good together, be successful. The last 2 partners I've had, I thought this would be my last partner. I'm 50 years old and I rope this guy until I'm done. And then someone else comes along, but I think rope's amazing, you know, and so hopefully I get a chance. I really enjoy roping Trey. Hopefully I get a chance to rope Trey for 2 or 3 more years, and then I can, whenever I feel like I'm ready to be done, I can be done. But
surely Trey might know where some good head horses are.
I know, but man, Trey has great horses. I gotta find a good horse. Well, I know what you're saying. But
and there's a price tag that comes with the ones that Trey knows. Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah. What so what is on your good horse? What is on your wish list? Horse shopping. What will be? What will feel like?
So what I look for. I've tried so many horses. Okay. So most horses don't score good enough. 95% of the horses you get on don't score good enough. And the average person doesn't understand how important it is. So if I can talk about myself for 1 second.
Do it.
Last year I rode with Hunter Cook. I rode my good horse at 100 steers, roughly. I had a backup horse I rode for maybe 15, so maybe 120 steers. I broke the barrier 1 time out of 100 and some steers because my horse scores good. So most people don't, you know, they think, well, you rope good, you can get on my horse and you're going to do good. Most of the reason I rope good is because I've been blessed to have good horses. And so you have to have a horse that scores good. I mean, and they have to have enough run. Okay, so everything else can be improved on. You know, if this horse is a little bit green, but if they don't score amazing and they don't have enough run, they don't have enough ability to quick-footed enough to make things happen. So many rodeos, you know, when I started even 2006, so many rodeos had a short go. A lot of the rodeos had a short go. Okay, so now a lot of rodeos that used to be 2 and a short, now they're 1 head. You know, so many rodeos 4-4, 4-5, 4-7 wins last hole. You know, where it used to be 3 6s.
Yeah.
So, man, you got to have a horse that just scores, runs, ducks, faces.
Sure, all the above.
Yeah.
Is the World Series, so, you know, a lot of times you guys will, like, go out into the backwoods and find a jackpot or a number 5 that has an amazing horse. Has the World Series start made that harder for you guys to find a horse?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
And there's still great quality horses out there, but if you just go with the gates for 1,000 runs in a row, then, hey, you can try my horse. It's hard just to get on them. And there's great horses that will.
Yeah.
You know, they respond to the pressure. And you're going to pull on them a little bit, they're going to wait until you go. But it's made it. I truly believe it's made it where head horses are it's made it easier to have horses that you can get by that aren't amazing. You know, when you had a score, every horse had a score. Well, now a horse, hey, this horse is pretty good, but he doesn't score. Well, who cares? Just go with the gates every time anyway. So yeah, it's made it harder.
Gotcha. One thing I wanted you to tell me about, you switched ropes at the finals this year, did you?
I did.
You used the Future?
I did.
What do you like about it?
Man, it's the best rope. I've been with Cactus. I want to say, I've thought about this, I want to say longer than anyone. So I love Cactus. But it's the best rope that they have, that you take the twisties off, you pull on it one time, and it's ready to go. Every one of them feel the same. So for me, that was a lot of times, like I use a mini mag forever, okay? Too cold, it would get soft. Too hot, it wouldn't, you know, so you have to feel like you got 4 or 5 different ropes, and like, well, if it's hot, I'll use this one, if it's cold. But it's the best rope that I feel. I take the twisties off. It's 40 degrees outside, no big deal. If it's 80 degrees, so it feels the same, good weight, good body. It doesn't gonna spring back open. It just feels really good to me. And the heel ropes feel amazing too. Yeah. Yeah.
Had you been testing those ropes all year, so going into the finals you at least knew what you had, or?
I didn't even know about them. Riley had one, and maybe Stephen Doobie had one that I saw, but I didn't really. So they've been testing them for a while, but I never tested them. Maybe till after the year was over. It was the first time he finally sent me some, October probably. But first one I used, I had to call him and told him, I said, this is the best rope you got.
That's awesome.
You know.
Very cool. Well, Matt, I told you I would take you for 30 minutes. It is 42 minutes in, so I will let you go have dinner with Trey before the second perf here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks again to our sponsors at Manna Pro. Manna Pro is a recognized leader in the care and nurturing of pets with roots back to 1842 and long-established brands in companion pet, equine, backyard chicken, and small animal categories. Manna Pro's product is Cetal M, and you can check that out at scorejointhealth.com.